Restrooms are becoming a new battleground for the trans community. Many members face an internal and external struggle trying to pick which restroom to use. Some people still feel uncomfortable sharing a restroom with someone whom they perceive as a member of the opposite gender. The pressure to choose a restroom brings a level of discomfort to the trans community. California became the first state to pass a bill allowing students to use facilities that match their gender identity. CSUN's University Student Union built 2 gender-inclusive restrooms last year to include the diverse student population. A lot of students say they don't know these restrooms exist, and those who do don't necessarily know where they are located.
I did not know that. Where is it? Do you know?
I did not know.
I did not.
I did.
I had no idea. All the bathrooms I've seen have been gendered.
No, I didn't.
No, I did not.
But some students are saying that 2 restrooms aren't nearly enough and that action must be taken in order to truly make a difference. On Point's Jamie Perez has more on this story.
Thank you, Wanique. I'm sitting here with Nia Clark, who is the mentoring coordinator of the LifeWorks program at the Los Angeles LGBT Center, Alex Soto, who is the president of the first queer sorority at CSUN, Gamma Rho Lambda, and Freddie Sanchez, who is the assistant director of the Resource Center in the University Student Union here on campus. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
So this first question, we're just going to get right into it, is for Freddie. Can you tell us a little bit about the bathrooms and how did the implementation of the gender-inclusive restrooms come about?
So a lot of our students, I think oftentimes when we have change on campus, it's because of a need. When we saw that there was a need for student inclusion, there was a conversation about restrooms and restroom facilities. And so when we started facilitating conversations about what that looked like, the conversation was about restrooms, and we opened up a new building, which is our Oasis Center in the Student Union, and that now has gender-inclusive restrooms. And so oftentimes it's about what do our students need to be successful on this campus, and restrooms was one of them.
Can you tell us what the meaning is of the gender-inclusive restrooms? Does this pertain specifically to be inclusive of the LGBT community?
Not necessarily just for the LGBT community. I think the need is to be inclusive in general. Oftentimes our students with disabilities potentially might need a gender-inclusive restroom where maybe a caretaker might be in the restroom with them at the same time. Potentially they need additional space. And so oftentimes at different facilities you'll see a family restroom. And so oftentimes that's what the needs are for, not just the LGBTQ community. Hence it's not an LGBT restroom, it's a gender-inclusive restroom.
Alex, this next question is for you. Firstly, can you explain a little bit about what gender identity is and what the gender binary is?
So gender identity is really how you express yourself. So my gender identity would be defined as I'm trans, but I'm not of either binary. And so the binary basically means so you're like a female and male. Those are the 2 binaries that you can, the kind of the medical aspect of it, I guess. And how typically society kind of labels you as either or. And so I'm neither of the binary. I'm kind of my own kind of gender identity, and yeah.
And do you have something to add to that? Do you agree to that? Do you have more information to include?
I do agree. I think it's helpful for people to think about gender identity as your understanding of self. So everyone has a gender identity, right, even those who are not trans-identified. So for Alex and myself, we have an understanding that our biological sex or our assigned sex is incongruent with how we feel about ourselves and our understanding of our gender identity. So that's a more detailed understanding, but something to consider is that just like sexuality can be fluid, so can gender identity. And there's this misconception that when it comes to the bathrooms that there is some sort of binary associated with that as well. And so if you're an individual like Alex who doesn't fit into either of those categories, where do they feel comfortable using the facilities and public accommodations? So this is why it is so important to have gender neutral and gender affirming bathrooms and facilities.
Next question is back to Alex. Do you feel that you've been treated differently on campus because you don't identify as one or the other?
Oh man, yes. So many times I go into the female bathroom and it's like, what are you? Like, what kind of like creature are you? Like it almost seems that way. I don't fit in either binary. I'm neither a male or female, and so I go into the female bathroom because it's more comfortable for me. I look more feminine. I love the smaller build and everything, and I have more feminine face, I feel like. And but I can't also go into the men's bathroom because if I do, I get like for some odd reason, I kind of threaten some men's masculinity, masculinity, and it kind of throws them off. So I get negative attention, or I guess sometimes bullied. I was recently at like a retreat for all the Greeks and stuff, and I was sitting around with all like the male presidents and everything because there was more male fraternities. There was more fraternities and sororities. So I was sitting with all the presidents of these fraternities, and I was getting increasingly treated differently. I was getting put to the side. I was getting kind of disregarded. My opinions were disregarded, all because of the way I look, because of the way I dress, because they weren't comfortable. They didn't understand. It was pure ignorance. And so, you know, I think it's our duty to educate, but it's also their duty to want to be educated. And so, you know, using bathrooms like this, you know, having gender-inclusive bathrooms, it really helps me feel better about my self-esteem and my identity. And like, it's okay to feel this way, and I don't have to force myself into either binary just to go to the restroom. So, yeah.
So do you think that the implementation of the gender-inclusive restrooms has helped students at CSUN feel more included?
Definitely, definitely. I don't think they feel that they have to kind of harm themselves, like in order to use the restroom, like holding it to have to go home and use the restroom. So it's better for themselves. They feel more comfortable. They're like, oh, there's a space for me. There's a space for me. They feel included in the community, and they feel included on campus as well.
Great, thank you. Nia, this question is for you. What has your experience been outside of the CSUN community in dealing with bathroom issues and the trans community?
Well, my experience in California specifically, it connects to what I do with LifeWorks and outside of LifeWorks. I work as a consultant trainer. So I go to different agencies that work with young people and I educate them on LGBT issues. So it's LGBT competency trainings. And so in Los Angeles specifically, in California, there is an assembly bill that actually protects trans students. It's Assembly Bill 1266, and that actually stipulates that legally young people, when attending schools or in a school setting, they have an actual right, a legal right, to have affirming spaces, regardless of their gender identity or expression. But the way I like to really think about it is, the way when I train people, what I say to them is, really think about the college experience. When young people attend school and they don't necessarily know what they want to study, there's a category for that. It would be undecided or general studies. So if academia has an understanding that young people don't necessarily fit into one category or don't necessarily know what's going to work for them, and we at the university, or you all at the university, can provide and accommodate for that, why can't you do the same when it comes to where they use the bathroom? Above and beyond that, it's not just about this binary, like only girls can use this or only boys can use that. It's about comfort and personal safety. A lot of trans folks don't feel comfortable using certain bathrooms. I think that, you know, if you're like me and you want to go to the bathroom, I am someone who fits into a sort of gender norm. I present very much as feminine, and so it's easy for me to go to a bathroom and use the bathroom that affirms my gender identity. But there are young people who don't fit into those gender norms, just like young people don't fit into sexual norms. And so, like I said before, when sexuality can be fluid, gender identity and expression can be fluid as well. And so wouldn't it be great to use a bathroom where you don't have to worry about how you look to others,
right,
and you can just go to the bathroom. You know, you can do your makeup. You can go to the restroom. I mean, you're not going there for anything else other than to go to the bathroom. It shouldn't be that complicated to have a space that's special for you.
Right. Well, bringing it back to within the CSUN community and speaking on the issue of restrooms, we talked to the student assistant who works at the Pride Center on her perspective of being more inclusive, specifically in terms of the bathroom on campus. So let's take a look at that video.
Like, we're trying to make this campus as inclusive as possible, but I feel that in the USU we are pretty accepting and we talk about it, and we're even opening up like in the Oasis like the full stall restrooms. So that's a step, but telling people where these restrooms are at, or even having the two in the Northridge Center that are hidden in the back. Well, yeah, they are there, but we should see more places where our students can go.
All right, this question is for all three of you, but we're going to start with Freddie. What do you think of her mentioning that no one would know about the bathrooms if they didn't actively visit the University Student Union?
I think oftentimes as a community here on campus, we tend to forget what our students are really looking and seeking out. Currently, we don't have a set way to designate restrooms on our campus. So I think to what Giselle was stating was, if I'm not actively seeking out and as a student, I wouldn't know that these restrooms existed. I think we're working on a way to designate that on our website, our university website. I think the Pride Center's website currently has where our restrooms are at. However, as a campus, even though the Pride Center falls under the campus, unless you actively seek out these restrooms, they wouldn't be appearing. So as a university, I think we have to do a better job designating these spaces on our website.
What do you think of the fact that she mentioned that no one would know about the restrooms if they didn't actively visit the University Student Union?
Yeah, like Freddie said, having that visibility of restrooms and telling people, hey, these are where our restrooms are really important. Like, I didn't even know that we had gender inclusive restrooms in the Oasis up until recently, last week even. And that's not something we advertise. It's not something that, you know, they're just restrooms to many people. They're just restrooms. Like, it doesn't matter. But it does. It really does. Gender inclusive restrooms for everyone are really important. The fact that they're single stalls is so important. It's so great because, you know, people can go in and feel comfortable using the restroom. Like, they can go into these areas designated for restrooms and not feel that they have to like hide or kind of duck their head. So, but definitely more visibility on that, really.
Yeah, what do you have to add to that?
I think that this is very reminiscent of what a lot of LGBT folks have to go through as far as having to find resources for themselves. Instead of the resources being available to them and them having knowledge of it, they often have to seek out that information. And sometimes, especially when you're in this academic setting, it can be very isolating, especially if you don't know where to look. And wouldn't it be great if this were just a part of the regular conversation? Why isn't this a part of the conversation? If everyone is introducing this into their lexicon, gender inclusive, gender neutral, if it's a part of everyone's language, then we're normalizing it. And then it's no longer this separate special thing. It's just this thing that so that we can be inclusive. You know, separating something or making it an individual thing is not being inclusive. Making it a part of the community or making it a part of the general knowledge is being inclusive.
All right, thank you. Well, we also went out and asked some students who are aware of the bathrooms to give us their opinion on what they think. So let's go ahead and take a look at that video.
It shouldn't be that way. It should be kind of like
Either or.
either and
male
like that's
or
it.
female.
That should be an easy question to answer. So, bathrooms are made already. Like, we shouldn't be having to add another restroom with like a question mark on it. I don't think that makes sense because we can spend our money elsewhere. Maybe we can spend it on helping them come together in like some sort of group and talking to each other about it instead of actually spending money for them to spend extra on a facility.
This next question is for all of you. In response to that video, what would you say to these girls and how do you think we can educate them? Freddie, I'm going to start with you.
Perfect. I think to Alex's statement earlier of we need to educate our campus community, just by listening to that statement, oftentimes they don't understand the harm that our students might be facing. Alex mentioned it earlier, we have to think. Some of our students might not feel comfortable going to the restroom, which they might express. And so I think as this statement is made, there's this connotation that there's an expense that needs to be incurred, but at what cost? And so we have to analyze our students that might not see a restroom that they can accommodate themselves to, that is maybe 1 or 2 buildings out of the way. And so it's a safety issue, I think, for a lot of our students, not only feeling harm, but bodily harm as well, as it relates to maybe wanting to hold it for the entire day because they don't have the availability, just like any other person would, having a need to go to a restroom that I can identify with and just be right outside my classroom. Oftentimes that doesn't, not on this campus, but we're working towards it. So I think education is crucial. Educating as to even why this question came about. I think you mentioned it earlier. It's why are we even having this conversation when it should be already part of the conversation? And so I think education is crucial, not only on this topic, but a variety of things that are happening on campus.
Great.
I just wanted to add,
Yes,
the one thing that just got to me was the fact that one of them had said a bathroom with a question mark.
Yeah.
So that sounds like to me that there's some misinformation about the trans community. You know, there would never be a need for a question mark. That comes from a place of them not understanding the community. We are the question mark for them, but we are not the question mark to ourselves. We don't have any questions about ourselves. That's what gender identity and expression is all about. We know who we are. It's just getting everyone else who is not trans-identified on the same boat. So that's the distinction. We don't need a bathroom with a question mark on it. We just need a bathroom.
Alex.
I noticed one of the girls was wearing Greek letters, and it's just really funny because as somebody who is in the Greek system themselves, I can totally understand, like, not understand really, I can't understand why they think that way, that's kind of odd. But you know, we try to, like, our organization ourselves we have tried to have, like, the Greek community have, like, queer 101s or, like, some kind of a basic education for these students. And you know, sometimes we hear no response, or we hold events like Trans Awareness Week and, you know, they don't show up, they don't come. So like I said earlier, it has to come from them wanting to learn themselves. So if they're thinking this way, if they're questioning where this money is going to, it's like, well, come to a Trans 101 workshop, come to a Trans Awareness Week, you know, workshop as well, yeah, and like find out where this money is going to. So it's just demystifying the trans community, demystifying the LGBTQIA aspect of everything, and just really bringing it into our conversation as well every single day.
This next question is for Nia. Based on your work within the LGBT community and at the LGBT Center, what actions or steps have you seen to help society become more inclusive to the trans community?
Well, beyond the private consulting work that I do, LifeWorks, the program that I work for, we have a program called the Community Action Network. So we have a relationship with Los Angeles Unified School District. So we're starting in the high schools, we're starting in the middle schools, and we essentially go and use the power of storytelling, and we use trainings as a means to educate not only the young people about what rights they have and how to better advocate for themselves, and how to be more grouped and more organized, but we also provide trainings and information and resources to the administrators and to the teachers who are actually supposed to be ensuring that all of these young people have access to a quality education without the distraction of discrimination.
This next question is for Freddie. Have you directly received any negative response for the restrooms or any positive response for the restrooms?
So a lot of the positive responses oftentimes come to the Pride Center. Our students, just like Alex just mentioned, they feel safe, they feel comfortable, there's a space for them on campus where they don't have to worry about it. When we implemented the Oasis, we had one bad it wasn't bad. I think it was just one comment that was made the first week it opened about a student not feeling secure. However, we addressed the situation with our student and really said, if you don't feel comfortable in this space, there's other restrooms that you potentially might feel comfortable. From that statement, again, I think it comes with the education piece that you were alluding to. It's our students have the potential to go to another restroom that might fit to their own style. But as of now, we have not heard any negative sort of comments from any of our students, aside from the positive ones that are coming to the Pride Center to really solidify that there is a need for these restroom facilities.
Okay, this question is for Freddie and Alex. Do you think the university could be doing more to implement more restrooms around campus like this one in order to support such a diverse student body? We'll start with Alex.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's important to have at least one in every building. there's a few of the science buildings that don't really have gender inclusive restrooms or don't really have like the quote unquote family restrooms. So I think at least trying to make at least one gender inclusive bathroom in a building. I mean, that's for CSUN, that's probably asking a lot, but I mean, you know, the least they can do.
And Freddie, you're...
Yeah, I think going off of that, alongside from building, like essentially having one restroom per facility, it's having same signage. Currently on campus, we have multiple signages from multiple restrooms with the same use purpose, which is gender inclusive. I think as an institution, that's the first thing we're looking at. How do we have everything consistent across the campus? I think we as an institution have the ability to continue working with our students to see what the needs are. And if we need additional gender inclusive restrooms in different facilities, just like Alex alluded to, that's something that we will look towards to sort of change and implement. But there's a process. And I think the first step to ensuring that our students are safe and there's knowledge, having them up on the website, having that there's consistent sign across all the currently there's unisex, there's gender inclusive, there's gender neutral. So having consistent signage across the campus is important. And then moving forward, looking at what do we need to do next to ensure that all of our students are feeling safe and secure on this campus.
Right. We, my group actually went to the Vice President of Student Affairs to get a comment from the university about plans to be more inclusive, but we couldn't get a comment, unfortunately. So I know a lot of people are against the restrooms and they say it makes them feel uncomfortable. So this question is addressed to all of you. Do you think these people have been inside the restrooms and seen that they are private stalls? And what do you think may make them feel uncomfortable still?
I think people are not necessarily uncomfortable with the restrooms. If you're talking specifically about people who are not in favor, are you asking if people, regarding people who are not in favor of it, or people who are seeking access to it?
Who are not in favor.
Okay. So I think this has a lot to do with some of the stereotypes about the trans community. So it's the same reason why so many people are uncomfortable with trans people using women's restrooms or men's restrooms. There's this misconception that there's, for instance, myself, I'm a male to female trans person. There's this negative stereotype about me coming into the restroom and doing inappropriate things with my body, or being exploitative with a young person, or being exploitative toward other women. And I think there's that misconception right there that when we're in there, that we're there to do more than go to the bathroom, that we're there to do more than peeing. But yes, do we do more than that? Yeah, we wash our hands. Yeah, we put on makeup. Yeah, we check and make sure there's no food stuck in between our teeth. We use the bathroom for the same reasons everyone else uses the bathroom. And I think once people are able to actually get some knowledge about the community, they will understand why it's a necessity to have that bathroom. But until that happens, you know, you can't it's very difficult, it's very easy, to be dismissive of this whole concept when you're dismissive of an entire community. But the community is out there. You know, there are many, many trans people who may not be out at this school, who may want to come out, and based on the lack of acceptance or lack of support, they may not ever come out here while at school. And isn't that a tragedy?
Yeah. Alex, your input?
You have said everything. Yeah, you've really said everything. It's really interesting to see how people who just don't understand. You know, there's a pretty popular quote that I've seen on Facebook before, and they'll say something like, why this woman says she doesn't want any trans people in the bathroom, and she doesn't want a trans woman in the bathroom. She's like, oh, have you seen her? Have you seen what she has? And the other person responds, well, what are you worried about? And she's like, oh, I'm worried about, you know, them being a peeping Tom or something like that. And then in response, it's like, did you see what she had? Of course I saw what she had underneath her skirt. It's like, well, you're the peeping Tom. So it's just they don't know that we're just here to use the restroom. Like, that's all that we're really gonna be in the bathroom for. We're just gonna go to the restroom, and that's it. And we're not here to look at anybody. You know, we're not here to be a peeping Tom or whatever the case that, you know, people might think. So it's really educating people to say, hey, we're here to use the restroom. And if you don't want to be in our gender inclusive restroom, then don't, you don't have to use it. You don't have to use it if you don't feel comfortable being in it. So.
Freddie, your input.
It's a gender-inclusive restroom for a reason. You can use it or you cannot.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about people feeling uncomfortable, there's other restrooms you can use. And so I think, have you gone into that space? It's a restroom facility. It has a toilet, it has a wash your hands. So there's other options for you.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. I just want to thank all of you guys for coming out to the show. So thank you very much.
Definitely, thank you.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
We taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile, and I feel like I have that quality.
He's the one who always takes me fishing. I watch golf with him.
I watch him cook, because when I grow up, I want to be a cook too.
We have the same faces like this.
Dad is the one, when you fall, that picks you up.
That unconditional sense of presence and reassurance is really what makes him my father.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Don't worry, 74 people were picked before me in the NFL draft.
To fight childhood obesity, United Way and the NFL are helping kids play more. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60.
Now I get it.
Thank you all for watching On Point. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at CSUN On Point. Sunday mornings, look for us on LA's Channel 36 at 11:30 and tune into KCSN on 88.5 FM at 5:30 in the morning. For all of us here at On Point, I'm Elliott. We'll see you next week.